And welcome back to another episode of JK Sports. I'm Kevin Humphreys. He's Jack Feldman. Jack, let's get right into it. Ole Miss, Miami, kind of a slow burn through the first three quarters today, but man, that fourth quarter was one of the best quarters of football I've ever watched in my life. Take it away, Jack. What stood out to you in this monumental victory for Miami?
Yeah, big win from Miami, honestly. Um, Watching the game, I was dumbfounded how Miami wasn't up by double digits for really the whole game,
Yeah,
honestly. Because they had, I think, four dropped picks. And when I mean drop, they're bobbling the ball. Like
yeah,
it is in the breadbasket.
yes.
And they just can't figure out how to just hold on to the ball. And so for the majority of the game, it felt like Miami was in control for like you said, the first three quarters, not the greatest football. And it felt like Miami was winning in that scenario because Miami is a defense first team, and that's what you get with a defense first team. And then Chambliss decided to come to life in the fourth, and he almost pulled it off.
Yeah, it was pretty insane, and honestly, like Carson Beck and Keelan Marion won this football game. They were the like they were the unstoppable quarterback wide receiver duo. Even when Chambliss was going, like they had the one touchdown drive in the second half, but outside of that, like it was still extremely hard for them to move the football outside of that one huge drive that they had in the fourth quarter. And it was just, I mean, one, Ole Miss cannot tackle, Jack. They just over and over again, it felt like they were just giving Miami more and more points. Obviously, in the first half, I believe it's Tony or Fletcher. I think it was Tony though. They had him wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage, and he gets out of the tackle. The second guy coming over is trying to strip the ball, completely whiffs on the football, and he gets a first down. They end up scoring a touchdown on the next set of downs. Like there were these like little miscues from Ole Miss, and they were so focused on trying to strip Miami instead of just tackle that I felt like Miami was just able to physically dominate them. And Miami tried losing this game too, Jack. Like you bring up Ole Miss. I mean Trinidad kept throwing almost picks, but man, I would never have thrown the football in that first half if I was Miami. But instead, they tried to do like the whoopsie daisy, like Wildcat with Tony on a third down. They tried doing a flea flicker. I believe that was also on a third down. Or if it wasn't, they had to settle for a field goal or punt or something. Like there were so many opportunities that Miami had in the first half to make it a two, potentially three possession game. But they just got too cute, in my opinion. They should have just done what had they'd been doing all game, and that was just running the football for 4, 5, 6, 7 yards of carry. And even when the guys were getting hands on their running back on Fletcher, that offensive line was pushing them forward for 5 extra yards. I mean, that's what stood out to be. But I mean, that fourth quarter was just one for the ages.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Two stats that I see that really define the game was third downs. Miami was 11 of 19. Ole Miss was 2 for 10.
Yep.
Big difference there. Massive difference. Which goes into this next stat, and that's time of possession 41 minutes to 18 minutes.
Dominant.
Just absolutely domination, which also turns into 90 plays for Miami. And so you can't fault Ole Miss. They don't even have a great defense to begin with, and then they
No.
have to play 90 snaps. I mean, it's that's a long time to be out on a football field.
And they kept mentioning in the broadcast like Ole Miss wants to get the snaps up, and they did. It was their defense that played a lot of snaps, not their offense. But I mean, to be fair, like the Ole Miss offense like did enough in the second half to win the football game. And honestly, like if they'd had Keywan Lacey healthy, like maybe they're able to put up a few more points and get this one all squared away. I mean, in the second half, they basically abandoned running the football, right? I think Herb Street said that they dropped back to pass on like 20 straight plays in the second half. They just abandoned the run because Keywan Lacey was hurt, and so it definitely kind of handcuffed what Ole Miss was able to do. And honestly, like unlike the last Ole Miss game, I thought both coaches were like they made just about the right calls other than Jack. Do you agree with Ole Miss using those timeouts to try and get the ball back with time left on the clock? Or do you like obviously hindsight's 2020, but at the end, like calling those timeouts did actually allow Miami to methodically just get even closer to the goal line and get it down their throat. But I mean hindsight's 2020. What do you think?
I actually go back and forth with this topic in my mind all the time because you see it so many times, and especially in college football. And I always think, oh, would I call a timeout here? And I think I would
Yeah.
because you are really at the mercy of the offense in this
Yeah.
situation. And so you're trying to do whatever you can do to control something.
Mm-hmm.
And that something is stopping the clock. And so that's kind of my take on it, honestly, because like if they don't call a timeout, Miami has a couple timeouts. They run the clock down, call their timeouts. They got 4 plays anyway because it's first and goal. So win or lose, you got 4 plays. And so regardless of if Ole Miss calls a timeout or not, I think the time would be the exact same. It's just the fact that Ole Miss is trying to control something in that situation. They did. It just it never pans out one way or the other, honestly.
Yeah, and they kept getting him in third and longs, and then Beck would find Marion. I think that happened 3 times on that last drive. So like they were getting the stops on first and second down where it's like, oh yeah, for sure, call the timeout, because they're in field goal range, and it's like, okay, if they kick the field goal, we're gonna go down and win this thing in regulation, because our kicker can hit from anything inside of 60. So basically, all they had to do was get to the 45-yard line and they would have done it. But unfortunately, Beck has I don't know what the right adjective for it. The poise to not try and gun one in there and just wait and wait and wait and then takes one into the left side untouched for a touchdown. I mean, we've been waiting for Carson Beck to make the costly mistake, and so far he hasn't been special in these playoffs. He was special in that fourth quarter when they needed him to be. And so I just keep eating it, Jack. It the my hate and my dancing on the grave of Miami just gets worse and worse every single time he drops back to pass. It gets worse.
You know, I you came in and you said Keelan Marion and Carson Beck won this game. That was might be one of the most shocking things I've heard out of your mouth because I know how much you despise Carson Beck.
I my look, I don't like him and I didn't think he was good. And I thought he will always make the backbreaking mistake. And like even if he makes the backbreaking mistake next game in the national championship game, I'm wrong. Like there will be no dancing on Miami's grave. Like they've been on a good run. They played they played on the road in game 1 of the college football playoff. Like they went in and beat Texas A&M, and then they beat Ohio State, and then they beat Ole Miss, who beat Georgia. Like uh, Jack, I know Ohio State's run was incredible last year. If they go and beat Indiana, it wasn't as like sexy as what Ohio State did last year. but this road might be more difficult than what Ohio State had to do last year.
Oh, absolutely. I think to play on the road at the 12th man, I mean,
Yeah.
that in alone is a victory, in my opinion.
Mhm. And don't forget the wind.
And the I forgot about that
Like you beat
actually.
Texas A&M and the wind. Your
That
kicker
is
went
true.
1 for 5 and you still won.
Your best player. Just kidding. But um I do want to say real quick, I am a Miami believer. For those not watching, I picked Miami, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Georgia. Got that right. And then we got
A ball knower. My
Miami
goodness.
over Ole Miss. So, your boy knows something.
Line of scrimmage football, right?
That's right. Carson Beck, I believe. Miami Hurricanes, I believe. I said that this team was a top 3 team in the nation. They had a little hiccup. Teams do that, but they're finding a way. They find a way every single game. And it's just one of those teams that they find a way. That's what Ole Miss has done, but Miami outdid them saying, "We're going to find a way before you find a way."
Yeah. And, you know, comparing them to last year's Ohio State team, which even though Ohio State lost to Michigan, they were never really in any jeopardy of missing the playoff, right? At 10-2. But the how they came in is very similar. Like Ohio State came in to the playoff last year with a whole lot to prove, probably more to prove than anyone else in the country. And kind of the same thing with Miami, where like, and we'd seen them play at this like top three team in the country. Like, we saw that from both of these teams throughout the season. They played down to some competition that and it got, but like ultimately, like if you had told me 6 weeks ago that the national championship game was going to be Indiana Miami, I would have said, or I guess 6 games ago, a little over 2 months ago, before Miami dropped those two games, I would have said, yeah, like as expected, honestly, like with how good Miami had been playing. And, you know, sometimes you just get stuck on the losses and you forget everything that they did before those losses.
Right. I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but I mean, it's the same thing with Notre Dame. It's the same thing with Texas. It's the same thing with BYU. I mean, people are so quick to remember the losses that everyone had and not quick enough to remember those big moments that each of these teams had because every team that has gotten to this point has obviously shown that they deserve to be a part of this.
100%. I could not agree more. Hopefully, we get to 16 teams next year, and it just gets even better for us college football fans. Trinidad Chambliss, I hope you get another year of eligibility so we can see you play another year of football. Kewan Lacey's coming back to Ole Miss too. So last thought on Ole Miss, Jack, like they didn't really lose a whole lot of people to the portal. Defensively, like Pete Golding, I don't like his drop eight strategy all the time, but you know, he likes going man to man. I don't think that's how he actually wants to play. But you know, if Pete Golding can get this defense up to par with how good the offense was this year, like this team is a team that's gonna be, you know, probably a hot pick to make the Final Four of the college football playoff next year if Trinidad's able to come back. So sad end for Ole Miss, but I think especially if Trinidad comes back and you guys are able to put another good season together in the SEC, like why not? You guys can be right back in the Final Four next season as well.
Hmm.
All right, Jack. Let's move on to our NFL picks, and let's hope your hit rate is as good as your college football hit rate is. My goodness, did you have you had Texas Tech though, right?
I did. I picked Texas Tech, so I missed two
Over
games.
my over Indiana too.
I did not. So I actually no, I did. because I
Okay.
said the winner of that game would beat Indiana. So,
Okay.
but yeah,
That's all
that
right.
was a,
That's all
that
right.
was that was a heart. That was not a mind decision. That was
Yeah.
the Big 12 homer in me.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it would have gone any better. Even if they had beat Oregon, I don't think they would have done well against Indiana. Anyway, NFL, NFL, NFL. Sorry, focused on NFL now. Let's just start. We'll, I'll lay it out. We're gonna do this weekend of games, and then we haven't given our Super Bowl picks yet. I believe, and so let's start with the games, and then at the end we'll wrap up with some Super Bowl picks. Jack, the first game is Rams Panthers. The Rams are a 10.5 point favorite. Um, and they lost to the Panthers earlier this season. What's your read on this game? And do the Panthers have a chance to win this game?
No, they don't. Honestly, I don't see a world where the Panthers pull this off, even at home. I mean, the fans are going to show up. It's going to be a fun environment for Panthers fans, but it's going to be a short-lived fun time for the Panthers because I believe Devonte Adams is back. Puka Nakua is playing out of his mind. This offense, you got the MVP in my opinion, and Matthew Stafford slinging the ball. Um, and so, all in all, I do think the Rams are going to run away with this one.
I agree. Uh, I don't know if they run away. Picking a team in the playoffs to cover a 10-point spread, I just don't think I can say those words out of my mouth, but I'm going to. Rams are going to cover this spread, but I feel like an idiot saying it because it's the NFL, it's the playoffs, and the Panthers like they're pesky. Like they'll hang around in games, and it'll be into the fourth quarter, and you'll say, I mean, you know that. I mean, you watch the Packers game. Like it could easily be like a 16-13 game with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and everyone's asking themselves, "How did we end up here again?" And but no, like Rams are gonna win by like 31-20. Probably is kind of how this game is gonna go.
I like it.
All right, Packers Bears, Jack. Are you picking with your heart and your head, or just your heart on this one?
Just my heart. I picked the Packers. We split the series with them, each one at home. This one's being played at the Bears.
Yep.
And so the mind says the Bears are going to win. Without Michael Parsons, the Bears are going to win. But my heart says otherwise. I want the Packers. I think they find a way. They find some magic out there. Packers are going to end up finding a way to beat the Bears.
I don't think this game is going to be very fun to watch. And it's going to come down to some Houdini magic stuff, which as much as I don't like Caleb's ability to process and get the ball out on time and run a competent offense, very few guys I want to have the ball in more than him with 3 minutes left in a football game. And I think he's going to have it, and I think he's going to figure out a way to do it. So I have Bears probably by two, probably on a game-winning field goal. The Bills Jaguars, Jack. Bills on the road at the 3 seed Jacksonville Jaguars. They're 1.5 point favorite. Is that? I mean, that line to me says Bills, but this Bills team doesn't have a great defense. So, what do you got on this one?
I just haven't loved the Bills team this year. I look
Right.
outside of Josh Allen and I think to myself, who is on this team? You got Josh Allen and you got James Cook.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love the receiving core. I think it's one of the worst in the league.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, the defense isn't what it used to be in prior years, and that's why I'm picking Jaguars in this one. I think they're gonna find a way on at home to take care of business. Trevor Lawrence is playing probably the best football he's played in his whole career right now. They got Jacoby Myers. They have Travis Etienne playing the way that he's supposed to be playing. The only guy that hasn't shown up is Brian Thomas Jr. And so that's kind of my X factor in this game is can Brian Thomas Jr. wake up from whatever he's been doing the last 18 weeks? And I think he does. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to have the best game of his season against the Bills. I think they're going to find a way at home to take care of business and move on to the divisional round.
I like this Jacksonville story. I think, finally you have like a top tier quality offensive coach that can get the best out of Trevor Lawrence. But it's still Trevor Lawrence against Josh Allen. And for that reason, I'm going Bills. The Bills don't lose to anyone in the playoffs except for Patrick Mahomes. And there is no Patrick Mahomes. So Bills are winning this game. And is it close? Maybe. But I honestly think I just don't see the Bills really getting slowed down on offense at all. Even though I'm in agreement with you, their wide receivers, the room, it's a bunch of like guys that are fine. There's no 1A or 1B kind of guy that like really worries you. But it's Josh Allen, and he's going to find a way to get it done. Now, I don't think, Jack, that this Bills offense is good enough to make it to the Super Bowl, but I do think it's good enough to get them at least one win this weekend in Jacksonville. All right. Next game, 49ers versus the Eagles in Philadelphia. Eagles are a 3.5 point favorite. Uh the Eagles, this has been one of the weirdest seasons of a Super Bowl champion. Like, there's a lot of dysfunction, but ultimately they have the horses for the most part that they had last year, and they're poised to easily another Super Bowl run. Jack, who do you got in this game?
I love that you teed it up like that because I picked the Eagles. The 49ers. I actually haven't looked into it super heavily, but I don't know how banged up they still are. Um, but regardless, even at full strength, I like this Philadelphia team more than San Francisco, honestly. Um, like you said, they have the horses, they have the power, and I honestly think that this team is gonna continue to show that they are a championship caliber team, and so that's why I'm gonna take the Eagles. Okay, I think you're back.
Yep. Sorry, I'm back. I'm back.
You're good.
All right. You picked the Eagles, I'm sure.
I did.
And I'm going with the 49ers. Look, this Eagles season smells a whole lot like the Eagles season that happened a couple years ago, where they went in and got blown out by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the defense is banged up, but I just think that this offense hasn't been fully functional this season. And while I do believe that the Eagles defense is one of the best units in football, I think Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, I think they're good enough to get it done. I'm not sure if Trent Williams is playing this weekend. That's a big. swing guy. Whether if he plays, I feel really good about it, and if he's not playing, then I don't feel that great about that pick. But I think the 49ers get this one done. I think they definitely, this is just a vibes play, honestly, for me, Jack. Like, this doesn't really come down to football. It's just, what team do I believe is going to rally around each other, when things get tough? And for me, the 49ers have been doing that all season. Like, this team is not going to fold mentally, whereas I feel like one thing goes wrong in this game for the Eagles, and it's a slippery slope down to all of a sudden being down 14 points, and this team throws in the towel. They get a new offensive coordinator. They, trade AJ Brown during the offseason, and they get right. Like, it, this to me, it's just I just don't think the vibes of this team scream. The vibes of this team to me scream. This is a first round exit year for the Eagles, and not a Super Bowl appearance for the Eagles.
Yeah, I feel like this was honestly the biggest coin flip game for me, in my opinion, overall. So I do think this is going to be the closest game, head to head matchup type, in this wild card.
All right. Next game is Patriots Chargers. This line surprised me, Jack. It opened at 3.5 and it stayed at 3.5. And with how good the Patriots have been this season, albeit against a lot of really bad teams, but like with how good the team they've played this season, I did not expect to see a 3.5 point spread on this game. But does it matter? Is Drake May going to win this duel?
Absolutely. I mean, if anyone has been listening to this podcast, I love Drake May. The Patriots are back. They're playing at home in wild card weekend. The fans are going to be going crazy. It's going to be an electric crowd. And I just don't see a way that the Chargers are going to outman, outlast, outplay any player on the Patriots side. Um, the X factor, in my opinion, is going to be Travion Henderson. He's become one of the best assets for Drake May. And
Mm-hmm.
so if he continues that, I think the Patriots run away with it. No pun intended. But um, yeah, I mean Patriots, I think by two scores.
It's been the season of hell, or season from hell, for the Chargers. Injury wise, Jack, there was a graphic floating around that had it said the Chargers were last in the AFC in pressures allowed. So Herbert's been getting pressured more than any other quarterback in the AFC and probably the NFL, just because they've had so many injuries on that offensive line. They're not playing at home like for a Chargers team. It is a Harbaugh coach team, but when you're used to playing in bright, sunny Southern California, and then you got to go to Foxborough where it's probably going to be 20, 30 degrees. This game's it's a 8 p.m. It's a 8 p.m. Eastern time kick. Like that, this Chargers team is on their last whim, and they're not going to get it done. Drake May and this Patriots team, they're gonna roll this game. They're gonna cover the spread easily, and they're gonna be ready for whoever's coming to Foxborough next weekend.
Absolutely.
Last game, Jack. Monday night, we have Texans on the road against Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're favored by 3.5 points. I feel like if you're going with the Steelers, you just believe in that Rodgers magic. But at the same time, when was the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers won a first round playoff game? So you have those two things kind of going against the Steelers, but then you have Aaron Rodgers. And, you know, I witnessed one of the greatest games ever played by the Packers and Cardinals where he threw not one, but two Hail Marys in that game. Like, he's still that guy. He's 40 years old, but he's still that guy. And I don't like picking against Aaron Rodgers, Jack. Are you going to do it?
I don't know this answer, but I do have a quick one. Is DK Metcalf still suspended?
No, I'm pretty sure he's playing.
So he was suspended for the last two games.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, if Metcalf is playing, I'm taking the Steelers. And it's I believe in that Aaron Rodgers magic. And it's as simple as that.
He is playing. Confirmed.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I like that duo that they've been having this year. I mean, it hasn't been anything special, but getting getting your wide receiver one back is definitely very, very beneficial for Aaron Rodgers. The two-headed monster in the backfield is awesome to watch, and so I think it's just going to be too much for the Texans. Um, the Texans have been playing very, very well as of late. I just don't know how much I trust CJ Stroud at this point in his career, and I trust Aaron Rodgers' play more than CJ Stroud's play.
You know, Jack, this what I have we even agreed on a pick? I think we agreed on the Pats and we agreed on the Rams. But I think everything else we're head to head, which just goes to show how even this playoff field is this season and how no one knows what's going to happen. But here's the one thing that I do know, Jack, and it's that the Houston Texans defense is the best unit in football. There is not an offense better than this Texas defense, and there's not a defense better than this Texas defense. And Jack, they're not just going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, but this defense is going to carry them to the Super Bowl. This defense is the best unit in the AFC, and I'm banking on the best defense in the AFC. And I'm hoping and praying, and as much as I don't love CJ Stroud, I'm hoping and praying that Stroud can make enough plays. You know, with this defense, all they have to do is score like 20, 24 points a game, and they're going to make the Super Bowl. And I think Stroud is good enough to do that, throwing to my guy, Nico Collins. And yeah, I think the Texans are my Super Bowl pick. Jack, who do you have coming out of the AFC?
I, much like my Miami pick of college football, people called that team fraudulent. People called that team not a top 10 team. They shouldn't be there. And that's what I think of the New England Patriots as well. I think the Patriots will make a run to the Super Bowl and show the world that they are not frauds, that it doesn't matter who they played this year, they were going to find a way to get it done.
I cannot tell you how hard I am rooting for the Chargers. I want the I Nothing would make me happier in life than if the Chargers went out and won in Foxborough. I mean, it would dis not completely discredit, but it would discredit quite a bit of what the Patriots have done this season if the Chargers go out and win on Sunday. I mean, I would just there's not an outcome that I'm rooting harder for than that, Jack, and I know that there's not an outcome you're rooting harder for than Drake May um winning it all because you're the ultimate Drake May Glazer. Everyone here knows that. And I respect that. I respect that. See, you're a lover and I'm a hater. I love to hate and you love to love. So that's what makes us work so well. Um, Jack,
Share the love, Kevin. Share the love.
I'm sorry. You as an Arizona sports fan, I've been scarred so many times, and sports is a place for me to get out vengeance and hatred, and it's a good way to express the empty, horrible feelings I've been feeling. Oh, we got a chat. Let's see. Let's see if we cannot let it be ignored the SEC only beat a G5 team this playoffs. FCC is dead. Oh, yeah, that's true. That is true. Thank you. Here we go again. 777.
That is very. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
Jack, boy, do we have some off-season college football narratives. Don't
Yes,
let
we
that
do.
stat distract you. Yeah. Don't let that stat distract you. Jack, who's coming out of the NFC?
I still believe in the Eagles. I really do. I think they're gonna find a way. I think Jalen Hurts has been getting a lot of hate. They've been getting a lot of hate these last few weeks. People calling him overrated. People calling him fraudulent. People calling him one-time Super Bowl. He's lucky because he had a defense. But he has Saquon Barkley. He has Devonta Smith. He has A.J. Brown. He has a good defense. And for that reason, I think they're going to make a trip to the Super Bowl.
It's the Rams, Jack.
I know.
It's the Rams. And I know you were seesawing back and forth. It's the Rams, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's Matthew Stafford. Oh, I gotta do the SVP. Oh, oh, graybeard. Is gonna lead the Los Angeles Rams to the Super Bowl again. If he wins this one, I wouldn't be surprised if he, just rides off into the sunset, goes out on top as a Super Bowl champion. Puka Nakua is the best receiver in football, not named Jackson Smith and Jigba, and I will hear arguments for both. I will hear arguments for both. I think right now they're like right here. And this playoffs, I think Puka will edge him out, but we'll see. It obviously it obviously helps when you have Stafford as your quarterback who's just throwing piss missiles exactly where they need to be. Um, but as good as Puka Nakua is, the reason why the Rams are gonna win isn't because of Nakua. It's because of Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. I think this Rams team is going to be able to run the football against just about everyone that they play. And because they're able to run the football, I trust Stafford, especially with a run game, that they'll be able to get through the playoffs. Their defense is good. Their pass rush is amazing. Their front four might be one of the best in football. And like this is the most complete team in my opinion in the NFL, and that's why I have them winning the Super Bowl this year. And the only thing that could stop them is potentially like a cold weather matchup in Philadelphia at some point in the playoffs. But outside of that, I'm picking the Rams in every game they play until the Super Bowl, Jack, which I think they're gonna get there.
Yeah. I mean, that's my NFC champ right there is Eagles Rams in that second week. Um I did pick the Rams just cuz they're going to be at home, but I mean, just to get on Puka Nakua real quick. I mean, he's been setting records again. He's had 23 contested catches, I think, on 29 targets of contested catches. That's a record. I mean, he has an 80% catch rate on contested balls. It's absolutely insane to me to hear that. I mean, 50-50 balls, he's winning 80% of the time. Even 30-70 balls, he's winning 80% of the
Mm-hmm.
time. And so, I mean, I just can't words can't describe Puka Nakua, honestly. He's a fifth round pick out of BYU of all places. He wasn't supposed to do anything in the league, but guess what? He's got Matthew Stafford thrown to him, as you said. And so it comes down to that divisional round for that NFC championship, in my opinion.
100%. And Jack, just to give Puka more flowers. Like I played against him in high school. I'm not 6'1". I'm over 6 foot, but I'm not 6'1". He's like not he's not taller than me, right? Like maybe he's got an inch on me, but he's not a Calvin Johnson type where you're just throwing all these contested balls. Like that is not like who he is physically. Like he doesn't have the frame where you would think, "Oh, this guy wins every 50-50 ball." But because the dog in his heart is bigger than just about anyone else's in football, like that's why he gets them. And he's like, especially at the catch point, there's no one stronger going up and getting the football. So even though he's not the tallest and not the biggest and not the fastest, honestly, like that's why he's one of the best receivers in football. And a lot of it has just comes down to that Nakua mentality. And they're all crazy. And Puka's been able to harness that crazy Nakua energy and become one of the best players in football, which honestly is crazy to think, um, given his journey to the NFL.
Absolutely. I mean, you just can't hate Puka. I mean, everyone says it in the NFL. You just can't hate Puka. And so, I mean, I have nothing else to say other than Puka's just the man. He leads the Rams with Matthew Stafford. The only reason why I picked the Eagles is because I think it is going to be that cold night, and the Eagles are used to it. The Rams will not be.
Yep, it's different. I mean, I think the Rams would have won the Super Bowl last year had they won in Philadelphia. So honestly, probably gonna be the same storyline, although I don't buy the Eagles as much as I did last season, but I think it does come down to that matchup whenever it happens. Jack, I guess final thought, let's go back to here we go again, 777's comment. Is the SEC officially dead?
I had this conversation with you a couple weeks ago and saying that we need to stop as a whole nation. We need to stop putting the SEC on this pedestal saying they are better than everyone else because that's what we've been spoon fed our whole lives is SEC is better than every single conference in America. But we're seeing that is not the case. As we are pointed out, the only team that they beat outside the SEC, they beat themselves, is a G5 team. And no one blinks an eye.
Rude.
No one blinks an eye.
Michigan?
What?
Are you calling Michigan a G5 team?
No, in the playoffs, in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Michigan is a great football team. But I believe that we need to continue to share the narrative that we are seeing parity. We are seeing that the Oregons, the Miamis, the Notre Dames, they are as good as the Alabamas. They are better than the Alabamas, the Oklahomas, the Ohio States even. The everybody. The soon to be Lane Kiffin LSU team. These these teams in the Big 10 and in the ACC and even the Big 12 can play with the top dogs of Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah. SEC is 2-7 in bowl games this year when they're not playing an SEC team. I believe that goes up to 2-8 now, with the Ole Miss result. So, bowl games they mean less than they ever have, but like the SEC should still be if the SEC has all this talent, like even though guys are transferring, like your backups are supposed to be good. We've been beaten in over the head for the last 10 to 15 years that the reason why the SEC is so good is because their second string guys could field a roster that's better than 90% of the ACC or the Big 12. Like that's what we've been told over time is that is that these backups are just as good, or they could be just as good as a Big 12 championship team, is, what we've been told. And honestly, maybe that was true when it was Alabama and Georgia, during the four-team era when they just stacked five stars all over the field. But it's not that this year, and it hasn't been that for the last couple years. For the third year in a row, the SEC will not win a national championship. And sorry, did they? There hasn't been an SEC team in the national championship game since Georgia won it in 2022. Like, it's not just the fact that they haven't won a national championship. They haven't even been in the game the last three seasons. So as much as we hate the transfer portal and NIL and the college football calendar is just so screwed up, like, it's been good. It's been good for parity in the sport. It hasn't killed the SEC because I think there's a vengeance, and there will be an SEC team that's at some point gets back. They're spending too much money on their roster to not. But you're right that the SEC it's Big Ten, SEC, ACC, and Big 12. Like, that's kind of the hierarchy for me right now, and it's crazy. We're living through changing times in college football, and I am all for it.
Right. Now, I'm not saying these SEC teams are bad,
Yeah,
obviously, but I do want to raise the point of why are we talking, not to beat a dead horse again, but why are we talking about a 9-3 Bama team getting in, 10-3 Bama team getting
yeah,
in? Why are we talking about how Vanderbilt got snubbed, how Texas got snubbed, but we should be talking about BYU getting snubbed, Notre Dame getting snubbed? Why didn't Notre Dame get in over Alabama? Is it the SEC bias playing a part of that we don't talk about? And I think it truly is. And so I want that narrative to change, and I will go to my grave saying that the SEC is not the top dog. There should be zero bias for conference alignments anymore.
yeah. I do have to push back a little bit on BYU. They played a Texas Tech team that scored a grand total of 0 points in the college football playoff. So, like, the Big 12, in my opinion, still has a lot of work to do to catch up to the SEC and the Big 12 and the Big 10, but the gap is definitely closer than it's ever been. And, portal season, like, Texas Tech went out and got Sorsby. We talked about it last time that they were not going to show up to the college football playoff next season without a quarterback. Well, they got a quarterback. They got some dudes coming. Cam Coleman has reportedly been, and he's by far the best wide receiver in the portal. Like, Cam Coleman could end up at Texas Tech potentially. Like, they're going to be incredible next year, and they're definitely a favorite, not even a sleeper for the national championship next year. Hopefully, BYU can get things done in the portal and get into the playoff next season. We'll see. Jack, is there anything else you want to hit before we get out of here?
No, just sad that football season is coming to a close.
I know we got two college football games left. I don't want to think about it.
Tragic.
I don't want to think about it. But that means March Madness is around the corner. So,
Yes, sir.
all right. For Jack, I'm Kevin. Thank you guys for listening or watching, and we'll see you next time.